Okay, we'll call this August meeting of the Muskego Parks and Conservation Committee to order. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Wendy, you want to call the roll?
Yep. Alderman Kapusta. Toby Whipple.
Here.
Terry Boyer. Here. Matthew Bugman. Barbara Erdman. Bill Miller.
Here.
Barbara Schrader. Here. And then this meeting was posted in accordance with public notice laws on August 25th.
Okay. New business. First item on the agenda is a Eagle Scout kayak launch dock project by, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Cole Steffens.
Let's make sure this is working for you. Testing. All right, here's Mr. Cole Steffens.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Cole Steffens. I'm a 16-year-old Life Scout in Troop 26, and I'm working towards my Eagle Scout project. And project that I was interested in completing is a kayak launch for one of our many lakes in Muskego. I designed a couple of sketches for this project and kind of have a frame put together. So what I found would be the easiest way to build the launch as far as a frame would be a snowmobile trailer, because it's flat and you can tilt them to a different angle. So show a different. I could pass these around too, but there's 3 different sections of a frame on a snowmobile trailer, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to take out the center and have that have rollers inside of there where you can roll the kayak out. Well, this is all in the water. It would tilt on the. You have a 2 decks on either side, mm-hmm. And the tires would be foam filled, so you don't have to worry about losing air pressure. And this could be placed anywhere where there's a sufficient launch spot at any lake, any town, anywhere you could put this at. I'll pass these around. So you can get a look at the frame.
Thanks.
So I put together these sketches, but this is basically a schematic of a snowmobile trailer. Now a snowmobile trailer is 8.5 feet in width and 10 feet in length, or a little over. So what I'd be doing here, it's a little better idea, but there would be 2 walkway like decks, you could say, that are on either side. They'd be about 2.5 feet in width, and there would be about a 3-foot width in between the middle. And that's where you would set your kayak. Now this would be already in the water, and these are tiltable. So I'll show in the next picture as well, but there's a swivel bar. I don't know if you're familiar with something like that, but there's a swiveler you put on each end of the decks, and you can change the pitch of the deck depending on where it's placed in the water. That way, you always make sure you have a level launch, and it's not too high, it's not too low. It's just you can put it wherever you need, wherever the water level is. So this decking would be all made out of composite material. I have a piece of composite material that I'd be using for that. It lasts a long time. It's not something you have to maintain. It's just plastic material. But here, this is as you can see, there's the swivel, and that's on both sides, so you can adjust the tilt of both of these. And then there's these rollers that I have in the middle and that'd be mounted on both sides, so you can easily slide the kayak in and off the ramp to launch into the lake. And also I'll show in the next picture as well, but I have hinges here, and this side would be going on land, and that would be faced towards the lake. So this would be easy to, say, if you had a UTV or whatever vehicle you're using, it's easy to back into the lake to launch this, and then it's easy to take it out of the lake at the end of the year when you're done with it. So it makes it pretty easy for maneuverability. So these ramps would be on land. That way you can easily walk up. Now, when I put this together, I also thought about making this just one big ramp. That way it's covering the hitch. That way nobody trips on the hitch, falls on the hitch. And also that covers that to prevent theft and anybody tampering with it. But there would be piano hinges in between both of these. So that way when you're done, when you take it out at the end of the year or when you put it in, all you have to do is unfold the ramp and it comes right off. It's extremely easy to operate, and anybody could do it just by themselves. But yeah, so I mean, I showed the tilt right here. So if it's on an angle, you can adjust these, like I said, to the proper lake surface, and it's really easy to use, and anybody could put it in, take it out.
So do you have a location in mind for this, or you're proposing making it a portable thing that we could move around?
So there's no set in stone location as to where this would go yet. It could honestly go anywhere. It could go Little Muskego, Big Muskego. My main focus is just to build this, and then I'll let you guys decide where you would like to put it, as it's easy to move. Snowmobile trailers are very, very light. They're constructed out of aluminum, so it won't rust. And they're very, very inexpensive. So you could take this anywhere, any lake that has public access, you could put this at.
What would permanently attach it to the shore?
So with the ramp pieces, I can anchor that.
The wall itself.
I can use that as well. Yep. If there's like Little Muskego has a concrete slab, so if I were to drill into the concrete, it's a possibility. You could hook it right onto there and it wouldn't move.
Do you have any comments about this, Adam?
Yeah.
So Ryan and I have been in discussions with Cole about a kayak launch. Given the timeline for his project, I wanted to at least bring it forward to you guys and let him do his presentation. And if we have a recommendation to move forward, he can start his fundraising. And we wanted to keep this open-ended of where it could potentially go. We aren't quite sure yet. As far as Idle Isle Park, I'm reluctant to where our kayak launch area is located now. We all know it's busy. We are discussing of some other items of where we could put it, potentially a lake access. If this is the design we're going to go with, it could be put at Big Muskego, where we know kayaking is popular, and they would actually have a distinguished place to come in and out. So what we were looking for today is for him to at least present his project. If we have a recommendation to move forward, we can work through a design that would probably be best, and then we can discuss the infrastructure that would be most likely on our side to figure out where we want to put it. So, questions?
I was looking at, the initial photo that you presented,
Yes.
and my immediate thought was Big Muskego Lake, putting it somewhere where it would be permanently set, at least for the season, to launch. But that's why I wanted to.
And I do like it at Big Muskego, whether it be at Boxhorn or Durham. There's some
Yeah.
projects that are still, up in the air for what's going to happen next year. So if it works out, it would be a good option to have it at Big Muskego, just depending upon where the layout would be at the boat launch.
I think the concept of having a launch is great. I've used one up north in Plover. They're just fantastic. They had a very sophisticated one where you set your kayak in it, you're actually completely out of the water and basically pull yourself into the lake or river or whatever.
And we've looked at those options. They're spendy, with smaller styles can range anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000 without the infrastructure. It's just the dock. You could go all the way up to $25,000, like the one that's at Train Park and Waukesha. Those are really expensive. The tough part is something like that. How much is it used? Something like this, where he could, have this experience on building a project like this. I'm in favor of. I'd like to figure out where the best spot is. Which is why I wanted to keep this open-ended tonight.
The only thing I questioned was whether it made sense to make it like a trailer.
And I'd have to look at the design a little bit more.
Setup.
I like the idea of it. There's simple kayak launches where there's just a floating dock piece, right? That's attached to, a concrete barrier where it's not going to be moving. It's simple to, slide in, as opposed to just like them going to our boat launches, congestion, like Idle Isle Park. That's why we formed the spot for them to launch. Something that's not invasive on the kayak is important if we were going to, go down the road of having a distinguished kayak launch, in my opinion. So that's the tough part, is where would it go? Would it impact any other use?
Anybody else have comments, Barb?
I think you have a really unique design. I hope you go forward and patent it. Because I don't see anything else on the market. But do we have any more of a liability because we are not using something that's been approved or whatever by industry? Is there any?
To be honest with you, I did not look down that path on something like this. I would have to get back to you on that. I don't know. Yeah.
Any idea on the cost?
So, I guess what's your budget as a city? Is there any funds that are available?
Unlimited. Okay.
The idea behind this project is Cole would be responsible for the actual construction of the kayak launch. My thought was that we would be responsible for the infrastructure of it, whether that be, using or purchasing a dock section where he could actually come off of it, or if we needed to add some sort of concrete element to it so it is affixed, to the shoreline. That would be, high priority, of course, so it doesn't get, doesn't walk away or doesn't get driven away. That would be important. But as far as the material cost for you, I don't know if you have you priced it out?
I haven't priced out material costs yet, but honestly, I think that the most expensive portion of this will be the composite material. As we all know, construction materials is high as of right now. The trailer, I've done a little bit of research, and obviously I would not buy a brand new trailer. A brand new trailer is about $2,000. I can find a decent used snowmobile trailer online for anywhere from $300 to $500. So I could easily get that and get that taken care of.
That's great.
Yeah, nice idea. Thank you.
So if we approve doing something like this, can we just approve it, have him work with you on the final design, Adam, or?
Yeah, that's what we usually do.
That makes sense to you?
Similar, remember the gentleman, last Eagle Scout who did the cannonball triangle? No, there was a cannonball with
Oh, yeah.
cannonballs at Horn. Yep, and Gaga Ball. So if you go, both of them are in place. What we do is, as DPW, Ryan and Adam, we'll work with Cole Heron. We'll help with infrastructure, use DPW forces to make sure it looks good. Both of them, the Gaga Ball looks great. At Horn, the Cannonball Monument looks really good too. So we work with all Eagle Scouts to help you through this thing. So, and we have no problems doing that. So, and we'll find a nice location with this. But it's good for him to start raising funds. You know, it could take him a year to raise funds, 6 months or whatever. So we want to get you going. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
Is there a motion to approve the concept with oversight by staff?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Cole, here's your stuff right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Looks cool.
Put a lot of work into that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, next item on the,
You want to see the pictures of, I know you flashed stuff?
Did you want to
yeah, well, you can pass
pass
them
them
around.
around?
I don't know if everybody could see them. I could kind of see them because
Yeah.
I'm straight on.
Putting them in order?
Okay, while he's passing those around, the next item on the agenda is Muskego pickleball discussion. And I think we have some friends of pickleball here. Adam, are you going to start or be the spokesperson?
Yeah, so tonight, we have not brought a pickleball update to you guys in a while. To be quite honest with you, I don't think I've ever really updated you on specifically pickleball. I'm assuming we all know the sport. Tonight, the goal really is to just bring you guys an update about our programming, about the Lions Park complex, where we have come since we put the courts in, and ways where we can think of the future of pickleball in Muskego, because it is very popular. What I wanted to just start is just refresh everybody where it all began. We brought in one temporary court over at Lions Park for one season, and it drew a ton of attention and popularity, where we had a longtime enthusiast and an alderman, Keith Werner, who took it upon to fundraise. It was a matching venture between his fundraising and the city's to renovate the old basketball complex at Lions Park to create 4 permanent pickleball courts over there. So we did the install in 2016. He fundraised $25,000. We matched $25,000 to actually have a dedicated complex, which was extremely popular. You can see the 6 businesses and organizations that were up top, and the 7th, including the city. We really hit the ground running right away in 2016. Truly hundreds of participants every season. And the goal after we kind of hit the ground running with an outdoor program was to create a year-round program, and we partnered with the school district on offering that over at Bay Lane Elementary School. After a couple of years utilizing the courts, we really did the project on a budget, and a lot of the renovations that we did failed, like the painting, the net systems, and we needed to renovate again. So back in 2018, we did a full resurface project, which you can see there. It basically just brought everything, the resurface asphalt, up to a higher end. A good painting crew came in, which is still looking really good now. That went over extremely well with the pickleball community. And then in 2021, we brought in a seating addition on the backside of the courts. Very popular area for the group to utilize. So those are two of the main projects that we brought into the complex ever since we kind of broke ground on the program. A couple of things that grew along the way. One of the unique parts of the program is I partner with community members on hosting our pickleball program. We call it our ambassadorship program. They're community volunteers that help host on a daily basis. And the tough, I wouldn't say tough thing, but the difficulty in scheduling is, we're there frequently. We've taken a step back on the amount of time that we've been at the courts ever since COVID in 2020. So a little snippet on our weekly schedule. We're there 2 nights a week. We're there 2 mornings a week. And we have various clinics that we offer. So all in all, our summer open play program, which we kind of considered a membership program, runs May through September. Monday, Wednesday nights, Tuesday, Thursday mornings. We do a beginner program on Friday nights for roughly 12 weeks. And we have seasonal clinics, a couple of scrambles, and then we do our sort of end of this season memorial tournament in honor of Greg Klon, who was an ambassador that passed away a few years ago for us. So that is a snippet of the Park and Rec schedule. Outside of our schedule, the courts are highly utilized. There really doesn't go a day, especially a nice day, where they're sitting vacant. We do max out frequently on our programs. We have several wait lists on a lot of them. And it's not a bad thing for sure. It's a good thing to have that many people that are interested in this program or in our offerings. What I'd like to see tonight is we've been approached by a few community members that are seeking to assist us in thinking of ways where we can expand our pickleball offerings within the community. And specifically, we're looking at a new home for the program where we could host and accommodate more players. And Lions Park could almost be considered more of a neighborhood site to more overflow community where it would be just general use. So with that, I would like to see if you guys have any questions about the Park and Rec programming or the court use in general. Otherwise, I'd like to introduce to you our Friends of Muskego Pickleball Group for some discussion on their view and vision of what we would like to accomplish.
Any questions for Adam?
Just to comment
Yes.
that everyone I have talked to about this loves the game. All age groups.
It's the sport is there. You can see there's so many whatever data, if you will, how extremely popular it is, how fast it's still growing. And I'd like to let them kind of speak on how much they enjoy it. I'm not a player per se. Of course I play, but not as much as they do. I'm a huge advocate of the sport. I've had nothing but, great experiences with the hundreds of people that actually enroll within the Park and Rec programming, how supportive they are of just the overall goal of what we try to accomplish with the sport. Making it year round, it's not easy. It takes a lot of, dedication to our ambassador program. Over the years, I've had maybe 20 volunteers within the sport. I'm sure I could have more, but we're a tight-knit group. They help me out tremendously on just offering this to the public. which in turn keeps our costs down for enrollments. So,
Okay.
well, who would like to
You
speak
wanna come
first?
up, or-
I'll introduce Bill Frederick. He's been playing with us for a couple of years. We've had some internal meetings regarding just the future of pickleball. And of course, I'll be here with any questions you guys may have as well, but I'd like for them to just kind of present what their goals are, okay?
Okay, I'm Bill Frederick, and to set the record straight, 2 years ago was the first time I ever picked up a pickleball paddle, and it wasn't pretty, but I enjoyed the challenge of it. And I retired 6 months later, and it helped me transition into a new phase of life. A lot of those work relationships have been replaced with really hundreds of pickleball people. They're very friendly and all ages. I mean, we play with people who are 20 and those that are 80. So it's really kind of great and from a social perspective. But I'd have to say when we were looking at the popularity this year, how it's just grown from last year to this year, we're seeing that we're running out of capacity. Right now, I can tell you that, last Sunday, somebody sent out a message and said, hey, who wants to play at 9 o'clock? And 40 people showed up. I mean, it's like a flash mob mentality with pickleball, and that's how rabid people are for it. Some of the reasons why it's so appealing is because it is fun and exciting, and even there's strategy involved, which if you're the least skilled person on the court, you'll learn that you'll get the ball a lot, pick on the weak link. But it's really easy to get started. It's inexpensive. And like I said, there's a lot of social interaction because we're playing doubles. We rotate at the end of a game, so you get to know a lot of people very quickly. And the sport itself, in addition to being a good physical workout, it requires coordination, balance, mental agility, things like that. So it really is helpful for all ages. And Mayo Clinic, their study says that, and this goes to racket sports in general, adds 6 to 10 years to a person's longevity. So there's a lot of health and wellness benefits. And even now we're seeing professional sports athletes, and even one of the Bucks owners, Lazary, sold out recently because he wants to invest in pickleball. So it's going to just continue to grow. John, do you have anything you want to add?
Sure. Just to add on, Bill alluded how busy the courts are. I call that a double-edged sword because instead of playing, we get to sit at that new facility that you saw with the picnic tables and stuff. So you get to know each other pretty well. One night, and I'm trying to give you a unique experience that you wouldn't see, like in a bowling league or a dart league or a golf league. We had 6 courts going, so there was 4 people on each court, so there's 24 people, and there was over 30 paddles waiting to play. So talk about the relationship and the socialization. We get to know each other pretty well. I've helped people work-wise, career-wise. I found people 2 different jobs just because you get to find out about these people's lives. So you're impacting people's lives not only, as Bill was saying, on the health side. I would say Bill and I are kind of the younger 2 of the group, if I could say that, and just keeping track of the score. Talk about the mental We just said the score 30 seconds ago and we can't remember it. So there's, yeah, right. It's not only a physical thing, it's also a mental thing. So we've had fish fries. We've cooked for over 80 people that Adam and Mayor Rick had attended. There was 40 pounds of fish that was fried there and stuff and everything. So it's a family. Like I said, the game is addictive. We've seen families play there with kids this high. If you follow the sport, the top lady in the nation is 17 years old, and Lee Waters. So it is played by a lot of elderly people, but it still is a young person's game on the professional side on that end of it. But yeah, I would say it's growing, and it's only going to get more people. We want to accommodate all the beginners because we have a passion for the game, and we've invited you guys to come and play and learn. We know that once you start playing the game, you're gonna get hooked. That's what the game is all about on that end of it. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. So anyways, we could see where capacity is becoming an issue. And one of the other things I think it's important to keep in mind is we've got 4 dedicated courts, and you tend to play on a continuum of social or non-competitive, competitive, and then an advanced level. So you've got really 3 levels of play you're trying to accommodate, or this broad continuum with 4 courts. That's a real challenge, but it wouldn't matter if we didn't have so many people interested in playing, which is why our vision is that we could see a larger complex accommodating 12 to 16 courts. So let's say, a minimum of 4 courts for each level of play, knowing that it is a continuum. And, the existing environment we've outgrown. It's not just a court capacity issue, but it also brings in a lot of traffic to a small neighborhood. The parking doesn't really support it. So there's other benefits in that it will relieve the pressure that this neighborhood is experiencing. We know that there are other planned infrastructure enhancements, whether it's restrooms, parking in some of the parks. So we'd like this to be considered in terms of the location. And with a facility like that, not only would we be able to accommodate tournaments. I mean, today, if somebody wants to teach lessons outdoors, there means there's no rec play, there's no open play for anybody. And when rec's playing, that means anybody else who's interested can't play. And what we've run into is our new people who are intrigued, they'll come and watch, and they ask, how can I get involved? And we'll say, well, like for this is the rec program. You need to enroll. Well, the enrollment was 6 months ago. There's nothing they can do about it. So for people who are interested, it kind of shuts the door on them today. Once again, John, do you have any?
Just a unique story about pickleball. We had 30 people waiting, and somebody did fall down. And it was amazing how the play stopped because of the family atmosphere type of thing, and making sure that person was, and that was probably, I guess what I can wrap up in this whole social relationship thing is people just didn't keep playing and said, oh, somebody's going to take care of that person. Everybody was concerned whether they were playing or if they were sitting, chatting.
So with all this being said, we decided, these Muskego pickleball enthusiasts, to form our Friends of Muskego Pickleball group, knowing the history on how Lions was built, that it was a city private partnership that got this done, that we were willing to roll up our sleeves and see if we can collaborate with Parks and Rec to go to the next step.
Has anybody done any preliminary budget on what 12 to 16 courts would cost?
So a complex that big in this time of year is not cheap. We have a couple examples in our region, one being the Oconomowoc pickleball complex that they just put in 2022. After speaking with the director there and the Lake Country pickleball director, they set it up just a little bit differently than us. Just the courts alone were $375,000, but that was on existing public space too, next to an elementary school, and it did have some infrastructure already in place, like a parking lot. That does not include any lighting, which they're doing that sort of as a future project, adding bathrooms and a pavilion with another future project. Something like that. Just the courts alone, like I said, was $375 in 2022.
How many do they have?
And that would be 10 courts.
They've got 10. Okay.
Correct. And when speaking with them, that's still not enough. That they're still having wait times. They're still being used on a daily basis. The tricky thing about pickleball in current time is just the amount of heavy use. My reluctance, or not reluctance, but my interest on putting this somewhere, if we were to get a recommendation to move forward on actually putting together a plan, is to put it in a space where it wouldn't impact a community in a negative way, and it would just be a huge asset to Muskego. So,
Okay.
I'll just look at past costs like that, $375 just for courts. It's not the easiest question or the easiest ask for a contractor to bid something out like that or just give us a ballpark number. We have relationships, of course, that have done our projects in the past where we can gauge what it could potentially cost. But like our goal tonight is to look for a recommendation on moving to the next step, speaking with council and the mayor and internally of ways that we can actually move forward on thinking of an additional space for pickleball within the park system.
Questions?
Is there any concern about sound?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Sound is, one of the major I won't say major downfalls, but it is. It's something that I want to consider when placing a complex, in a park system. Back, again in 2015, 2016, it's 9 years ago already, we didn't envision where the sport would be at right now. Right. Like I said, Park and Rec has truly taken a step back by actual scheduled time on the courts, but the actual court use has drastically increased since COVID. It's been huge before COVID, but the sport turned to a way of people already had established their ability levels by then. It evolves. Their play evolves a lot, where you see them having these large friends groups where they're meeting up to play on a consistent basis. And that's kind of the unique thing about pickleball. It is the programming huge for us, extremely, but the actual court use is also extremely high right now. So
would this be an addition to the courts that currently exist, or would this be just get rid of those?
So my thought process and goal for pickleball in Muskego, just by me personally, is I would like to see this somewhere where it would not impact a neighborhood like Lions Park. It would need to have infrastructure in place, or that would need to be thought of. So we wouldn't impact, or potentially could be, unsafe as far as like parking, getting in and out of neighborhood streets. I would like to consider it elsewhere. We wouldn't be adding these renovations or additions to a park like Lions Park. It would, Lions Park would still be, a complex. It would be used, but it wouldn't be where the heavy use is.
Probably more open play type thing, I would suspect.
Right. Looking down the road, we wouldn't program there per se, right? The rec department would not program anything there. It maybe could be used as an overflow site, but it would more so just be used for general use.
Right.
But we see it in a lot of communities. I believe Franklin is putting out to bid a large complex themselves. You see OAW that has their year-round pickleball program. Waukesha is a huge destination for pickleball. They have multiple complexes. They are used daily.
Are those all outdoor? Are they?
Waukesha?
Waukesha.
Yes, Waukesha, Franklin, yes. The closest indoor, like actual indoor complexes. Yes, we host our indoor program at Baylane Elementary. It's a multi-use, facility, of course. We know that. OAW is a multi-use facility too. The majority of their programming for pickleball is in the mornings. And we, of course, do everything at night outside of school hours, So.
Is Franklin out for bid now?
I believe so. I don't.
How many are they looking at?
I think they're looking at 10 or 12.
10.
10. Okay.
Okay.
The drawing I saw showed 10.
Okay.
So just to kind of recap of pickleball per se in Muskego, tonight our goal is to look for a recommendation for you guys to move on to speak with council on a discussion to actually get an approval to move forward with the goal of finding a new home for a pickleball in Muskego.
Have you talked to the other groups that have these bigger courts in place? Have they found a solution to the sound? Because I know that is the one thing that I'm trying to envision where you would put this, that it wouldn't impact. And I would love to see the program grow and have a place to be, but they've already existing. Do they have some solutions that they've found?
So some of these new complexes, like is it Buckner? Buckner, that's right next to the pool. Honestly, that one was installed right next to homes. It's hard to say. Some of these neighborhoods may be on, may consider it like an asset, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't mind the high use. I think it has to be done, I would say tastefully, but it has to be done in a cautious way where, I believe we will need to just look at that side of things.
There's got to be a way to do it.
Yeah. And,
successfully.
as far as sound barriers, they could be berms. We could, design a complex in a way where, it would be placed on a backside of a park or just farther away from homes. I wouldn't say the noise might not be the most negative thing about it. I just think it really is the high use.
One comment about the noise. The equipment manufacturers are looking for ways to reduce the sound level as well because noise has been an issue in areas, and it's if they can overcome that, that just creates more opportunity for growth for the equipment manufacturers.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know that it's that huge of an issue.
It is in some areas. It's
so?
out there, yeah. So it's a good thing to be ahead of it.
Yes.
And if there's other things that are, I'm always looking to beat what's going to come next. So, it's something just to be. Somebody's successfully doing it. What are they doing? And
Right.
Is there more noise than a tennis complex?
yes.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is just because of the high use.
I think it's just because you strike the ball more frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay.
Paddle versus strength.
But it is a fantastic sport. Someday when I have time, I want to do it.
More than welcome to come out.
You're always invited.
I never have time, but I will one of these times.
Any other discussion from the board? I personally would like to see us expand our pickleball programming. Obviously, we have to have the facilities to do that. So I think it'd be prudent to move on with a motion to at least look at the, locations, what the budget would be, when we can get it into, to do something. Fundraising obviously is a huge plus, just like what got us what we have. Scott, you have any comments about it? Not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just asking if you have any input.
Again, we've worked with groups just recently. Think of the whole playground. Think of the new dog park. I think working together with groups and finding the right balance of working with them, that's a good idea. The other thing, pickleball, and this is going to lead into my next topic about capital projects and stuff. As a city, one of the number one inquiries I get it's about roads. Okay. Then number two is everything related to parks. It's a trail, it's a boat launch, it's pickleball. It's a second, rec programming that as a city staff that we deal with. So there is interest in it. At the same time too, the sound, I stay up with it. I think there's a last case I saw something in British Columbia where people are, with the sound. So whatever the key location that we have or where we put it, it makes sense to kind of stay away as far as we can. Another kind of benefit we'd like to try to use is if there's a huge enough or big enough parking lot that's already there. If the cost, and I'll just throw a number out, if you're doing 12 to 16, I'm guessing let's just say it's $500,000, guys, just for the courts. If we can try to figure out a way to use some of the resources that we have already, where we have a parking lot that's big enough, but that's just underutilized at the time. Try to use what we have and place that there where we know it's going to be heavy use. So again, this is something we think about. We go through our 5-year open space park plan, and again, things change. This is just a popularity of things are. Popularity and looking at parking is always a big deal in high space. For example, last year, Park Arthur, when we have gotten our field's turf, we had 16 to 17 baseball tournaments there this year, and it was packed like no tomorrow. So again, the thing is, whatever we plan, just proper planning ahead of time is we just need to make sure that we are okay with that, like Terry said, because we want to do our due diligence before we do it. But this is a good step to do it. This is presenting it to, you guys as a community and then taking the next step. I know not a lot of people were able to, but some did. Adam had an open house. It's good to start meeting. A couple aldermen showed up there, or all the persons, and it was good. It's good to kind of see this, and I think it's a great way we have a lot of people that are very beneficial to parks. I mean, guys, we have people donating for dog parks, and the girl who donated at Hope's Playground, I mean, she set the bar high. And so I think there's a lot of good benefits and partnerships that the city of Muskego can have, both for the residents and city government. The biggest thing is, and it's always tough, guys, is funding. It just is. Trying to balance that. But with some good planning, I think we can come to a good way of moving forward. So. It's very popular. I drive past it every morning. I'm just letting you know. Even when there's no programming there, the courts are packed. So, yeah.
Any further questions?
I have none.
I have none.
Anybody else? You need some kind of a motion for us?
Yeah, I would say just like they said, motion for them to start kind of moving forward internally, starting to meet. Maybe the next thing is to meet with some of the finance people, more with Common Council internal meetings. And if you guys are okay with them to kind of move forward with this, I think would be what they're looking for and taking the next step.
I'll move that we allow Adam, Bill, and John to move forward with the pickleball ideas that they have for our community.
I second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks.
Okay. Updates on Parks capital projects for 23-24.
So just let's highlight some of the ones that we just did. The first one, the dog park. I hope you guys were able to go out and see the dog park. It's very well attended. We are right now looking at how it's being served, and there's some things that we're making improvements on. So just, for example, a couple things that we're looking at is we're going to get some picnic tables out there so we can put them on the 2 pads. Maybe a possible additional lighting by the entrance. From my understanding, the maintenance gates by both of them, there's a little erosion that's happening, and I've heard that some dogs have escaped. So we're going to try to look at how we can repair that, and then keep it so that dogs aren't able to get out. Also, there's always erosion by the entranceway, and if we need to increase the concrete pad, we can do it. We still have some funding for it, and from everything I'm understanding, people are policing themselves, which is great. The biggest thing that we have to do is we have to empty all the garbage on a daily basis, and it just has to be done. We are well aware of that, and we are, and it seems to be helping a lot. The park is a great area. Plenty of parking there. I've seen it attended all the time. So any comments or you guys got feedback for the dog park? Have you heard anything?
People love it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, nothing negative.
Yeah.
It's been, and I know it's been heavily used. I've been by it.
Good. Number 2. So right now, Veterans Playground is taped off. That playground is being ripped out tomorrow. So it is basically game on for us. Our DPW forces, they're going to rip it all out. I believe we have the entire new playground in back of the DPW, so we are ready to go. We are planning still the community build that's on September 16th. I know Tammy has gotten some things out. Please sign up if you're interested, or please reach out. We're looking for anyone to support us as much as we can. The plan is sometime in October, we want to get down that rubber surface. So this is going to have no more wood chips. It's going to be a rubber surface. Sand Hill Park has one of these surfaces, and they're very, very popular right now in other places. So, all right. So any questions about that one? It is going to look very different than what you guys see now. I want to make sure everyone is aware of that. It's going to be a big playground. Yeah. So.
Do you know any idea how the volunteer sign up has been?
It's been pretty good. We thought we were going to need more volunteers, and it looks like we don't need as much volunteers. The people who are got it due to some of the size and some of the intricacies of the parts, they're going to have to do more than our community build, but it looks like it's going pretty good so far. Okay. So, which is good.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's talk about the next one. If you go to the next slide, so I had to go in August in front of the committee of the whole, and I had to present all public works for everything that falls underneath me. Well, one of them is parks. So this is the parks plan for 2024 through 2028, 5-year plan. Okay. Kyle gave, as you can see, if you look at the total budget in 2024, there was a lot of ask. A lot of these came from communities, groups. It came from different people who use the parks. So as we went through this, Three of the recommendations, again, this is not approved, this is just recommendations because in October, they fully approve the budget. But I just want to kind of give you some of the recommendations that they have was, one, do not replace Schmidt and Freedom tennis courts, kind of repair them as they are. They're both at the cost of $130,000 to replace both of those. Two, remove Martin Trail completely, take that one off, and then move Moreland Park Pavilion from 2024 to 2025. So some of the things that I'd like to highlight though that are in there, one, Lions Park pickleball, the asphalt pad replacement for the two auxiliary courts, I would call them, without the fence, it needs to get done. And with the use, that was kind of put on there rather quickly at the end. Boat launches and dredging. We've had, if you can see, concrete boat ramps at Idle Isle being planned to replace for next year. Dredging for Boxhorn, if you've been out there, it needs to be dredged. It is at that time where we have to dredge that out, a considerable size to kind of get the boats in and out. It's very shallow. And then in 2025, looking at Lake Dunoon boat launch, we really need to dredge that one too and kind of rearrange it. It's kind of a funky design when you go around the circle, and it's not an easy way to get in. But I think what's happening is COVID caused a lot more people to go out and start using our boat launches, and it's time that we need to make some adjustments and some really good improvements. Idle Isle, we had some piers that got replaced out there this year, so they look really good. We put on 2 more washing stations over there, and Idle Isle has been book solid. So our rental use for the parks has been through the roof. So now again, these 3 items were the recommendation of the COW that occurred in August. I think it was August 15th. But as you can tell, we are still doing a lot of big parking plans. And then I would have to say the other big one that's up in 2025, Field 4, a nice generous donator donated about $400,000 to do Field 4. It has to be regraded. We'll do it with turf. I think we're looking just on the infield end, and we would probably may have to match, so it'd be $400,000. So it's a quite a big expense, but that would be the last field up there to do. And as I said, we had 17 tournaments that year, or this past year. They're done now, and they start happening again in September, October, and we had 0 really advertising of our fields, and they were that crowded. So. But
is parking over there an issue?
Yes, without a doubt. Yeah. You have a mix of baseball, you have a mix of archery range, you have a mix of the overflow from Idle Isle, which is, again, very popular. It is definitely a concern. It's not just you. It was brought up even, I think, last time I remember was Alderperson Kapusta brought it up. Now, again, we have a large portion on the west side of Park Arthur. If you look at 2028, I kind of gave you a number down there. It's a very large number, and that number is probably way out of date, but it's in there to show you at some point something needs to be done. As you get another field online, you are just going to have more and more use. And even though we don't even have use now in August, because usually it's not tournaments, we had someone who floated the idea of, can I run baseball tournaments in August? Well, of course, we want that. So, yeah, the more you use the fields, the more money we generate. It helps us to repay and resurface the fields, because the fields only last about 10 to 12 years with the turf. But we're right on a good pace of recouping that money rather quickly.
Have you seen groups not come back because of the parking issue?
No.
Good.
Right now it's so popular. Like, our facility is, when people come in the first year, they're like, this facility is really, really nice. So we're getting a lot of feedback. But we knew parking was going to be a concern. We knew it. I mean, it just is. When you have a good baseball tournament and they're in, you are going to have parking issues. So we have land, which is good. It's just how to figure out of adding the parking, so. But we know it's gonna be, but. Any other, I mean, again,
The budget?
Yeah, is that in the budget somewhere? The
parking? Not right now, except for if you would do Park Arthur, the west side in 5 years would be.
2028.
Yeah. Now, again, why it's on there and we put it on there last year is I don't want to surprise finance and common council. Well, no one told us about this. So again, what that means is that it's earmarked. Does that mean that we build out the whole place? No, maybe we just do a parking and we own those woods in between, and then you can make a path between the two places. You know, better than nothing. But there is potential. We own the land already, which is good.
Can you have an entrance off of College into that land?
So I rather not, and here's the reason why. If you do, you will eat up most of your budget for the entranceway because it's got to be at a certain standard. All right. So
I asked because we were planning to help develop that land for football, and we were going in the other way as well. So but we ran into the creek that was.
Yeah, there's a navigable stream there. So what I would, kind of looking at it is navigable. You could do maybe an aluminum box culvert. Again, and kind of like drawing is right before you get to the archery, you take a left, you go down. There's a couple little spaces between even before you get there. You can maybe put a small parking lot as well before you get over there. But again, when you start doing it, you need to build a stormwater pond. You need to build other things as well. So, yeah. But I would avoid College, and the reason why is, one, it's just going to cost a lot of money to do because you're going to have right turn, left turn lanes up there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on up there about College and Small, but they turn that road to make it a little bit more perpendicular. So if by chance we have to, we would probably line up the entrance right with that small road because it kind of is nice now with a T. So all things that we are looking at, but.
Is there a reason why the Martin Trail was completely removed?
So if you think about it, that development, or why that was first brought up to us, was they were going to do Kirtland Crossing. Kirtland Crossing has not been moving forward with it. The other thing too is that's very expensive. When you do trails, we should do trails with road reconstruction. My budget right now for do a road program for a year is $750,000. You are eating a lot of money up, and how a lot of people saw it, which was the council, was, well, I'd rather spend it more on certain other things and maybe use that trail money to spend it on roads. As I said, roads are number one kind of like people concerned about right now. When you do trails, and we've done a lot of studies and they've just been pulled. But when you do it with road reconstructions like Bay Lane, it's way cheaper. It's worked out really well. So the best time to do trails is when you do road reconstructions. So it's a tough thing because they cost a lot of money to do when they're by themselves. And it would be on the north side if you know where Martin is. So you'd see all the trees that you're affecting. Everything's ditched there, so you probably have to build storm sewer. Everything has to go underground. So it starts jacking up the prices a little bit more. So.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
Something that's missing on here that I hear a lot about in the community is the splash pad.
Splash pad is 2026.
It's still in there?
450, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on there.
It's coming.
I know it's something people keep asking about, and it's just, there's so much stuff trying to fit in there, and I just.
So again, when we look at this, guys, when we did our surveys, okay, number one probably on there was dog park. We took care of that. Top three is splash pad still. So again, we're trying to hit that one. That's why it's on there. It's slowly moving forward, and that's just a splash pad. We got a quote a couple years ago. Ideally where we would put that, we have to have a water source to find a good park where it's people would use it. It is. I mean, I have little kids. Splash pads are awesome. They are.
It just gets talked about it a lot.
Yes.
I apologize for missing it on there.
No. It's on there, and again, so.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else.
Any other comments on the long-range plan here?
Again, as I mentioned with everything, funding, you know, it is. It's just tough, you know. And especially as construction costs have gone up, guys, they have. If it's for anything, it just has gone up. So, but I just want to make you, you know, aware. You know, we have to try to do a balancing act, and I only can do so much to present it, and then it's the council. They have to make their decisions, and they have to kind of do a nice balancing act of providing, you know, resources for the whole city. So.
Any other questions for Scott?
No.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, next item is the Recreation Manager's Report. Is Adam still here? You taking care of that tonight?
I will make this quick. Just a couple of highlights on, you know, the way that the summer has gone so far. Tammy laid it out pretty simple for us. We are at peak enrollment right now across the board with everything. Starting with number one, we're back to you know, accommodating 180 kids within our summer camp. That doesn't include the weekly registrations. The revenue that one brings in alone, we're looking at $150,000 just in our summer camp. So that's looking very promising again. The rentals through the park system are still extremely high. You can see 135 paid rentals, 11,700 just this year alone. Idle Isle has been extremely busy again. The parking passes are a decent amount, over 100 so far this year. The Snack Shack, the concession stand on Idle Isle Park, has been extremely popular as well with our kayak rentals and just little minute things for the public to purchase. Boat launch passes, you can see we have 215 to senior residents, 253 to residents and non-residents. That's a total of $19,000 so far year to date. Our Park Arthur use fees, Scott touched on that a little bit. To date, we're at $53,000, and with you know, some of the fall things coming in, we're looking at, you know, bringing in over $60,000 just on the Park Arthur use fees. That's a promising number. In total, year to date, and we started our fall enrollment this morning alone, I think we brought in another $25,000 this morning. We're looking at $461,000 plus that the department oversees. 88,000 plus was for park-related items, and then you'll see 371,000 roughly was directly for recreation programming. Like I said, we started fall enrollment this morning. That includes some staple programs like our preschool program, the Youth Basketball League, indoor pickleball, some highly used programs that we just started this morning. And then we're gonna have our winter spring enrollment sometime late November. We're still hitting on 2 seasons for enrollment, so we're looking pretty good for the department. One other big issue that we did wanna bring up is we're gonna be moving to a digital only guide starting you know, next year. It's going to save a lot of money, roughly $15,000 for us, just for the printing material alone. The work that it takes to develop 2 activity guides, we do a super condensed one that we mail out to save costs, just highlighting the offerings that we have. And then we created a full digital guide that just showcases everything that we have. We're just going to continue with that and really push the digital side of things, environmental friendly. It helps with the scheduling purposes where we're not meeting like printing deadlines. And that's honestly just where where we're at as far as this whole digital venture. So do you guys have any questions on the recreational side?
Anyone?
Like I said, very promising year so far. It's been a very successful year, so thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Next item is the Conservation Coordinator's Report. Tom?
Well, I'm going to keep this really brief. The Danoon people are chomping at the bit out there. So I brought show and tell today. 2 invasive species. We deal with like dozens of them. But you may have seen these on the roadsides. This is Phragmites, giant reed grass. These aren't even the tall ones. We deal with this. This is invading the roadsides all over Wisconsin, all over the Midwest that I know of. Saw it down in Chicago. They're all over on the side of the freeway. It grows by rhizomes and it spreads like very rapidly over the years. So if you don't take care of a couple plants like this, it'll spread to, you know, the area behind your seating there, and then the following year it could be the whole room. So when we see this stuff out on conservation lands, we snuff it out as well as we can. We're vigilant to try to find this stuff, and it's popping up everywhere.
Do they plant that stuff originally next to the freeway?
So no, it's like a lot of non-native plants. They're brought in accidentally, sometimes intentionally. By this one here, teasel. It looks nice in a dried flower vase. I guess, you know, that's what people use it for, but this is all over the place. If you ever been along Root River Parkway, it is just ridiculous how much of this is growing, and the manpower, the cost it would take once it gets overwhelming like that. It's crazy that you can't grow anything else there. You just have to basically continually to mow it until you can snuff it out. Keep all the seeds that keep dropping from just propagating more. So it's kind of crazy. That's just 2 plants. So I just thought it's kind of the stuff we deal with. The other thing, got both a highlight and a low light. I'll let you read the memo that I prepared rather than go over everything. Really nice boardwalk was constructed at Battister Preserve, 150 foot. That was an Eagle Scout project, Owen Daniel. Amazing. The thing is 6 feet wide and 150 feet long. A lot of materials. He fundraised himself for it. I don't know what it cost. That couldn't have been cheap at all. So really nice boardwalk. If you get out there, it spans over a really important part of the trail. It's over a wetland. And then, unfortunately, the news of a contractor who was really helpful in managing our conservation lands and became a good friend of mine, Chris Mann, passed away unexpectedly. And he did so much, and he could have charged so much more for the work he did. So it's kind of leaving a void, you know, from a management standpoint in a way, but yeah, really going to be missed. So the rest of the memo I'll let you just read on your own, and if you have any questions, then.
You want your pictures?
So. You want to talk about the?
Well, I just put in some pretty pictures.
Ospreys?
Yeah, we have 3 nests this year. There have been 2 consistently for the past several years, and now 3 nests. Bill Stout was out banding them. He banded the kestrels that we have. We put out nesting boxes for kestrels, which are small falcon birds. That another picture there. He's banding a little one that hadn't fledged yet. So yeah, it was a good use by wildlife in some of our conservation areas. So anyway, that's all I got.
Tom?
Let's let the Danoon people in then.
Yeah, they're chomping at the bit.
Thank you.
I didn't know there was another meeting behind this. Okay, is there a motion? Yes, you may. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.